I built an app called MusicMasher. It's growing every time with a 100% growth rate per month. Starting at Finlayer to acquisition, I would say about 7 months. When it got acquired, I sent them a URL with lovable.app.
Brilliant. Well, there you go. You can build out, MVP to full products and get acquired. Yeet, how are you?
I'm great, Jimmy. Thank you for having me. And how are you?
Good, thank you. I'm very good. Thank you so much for jumping on the pod. To start off, it'd be great if you can introduce yourself and share with the audience what they're going to get off the back of this episode.
All right, so I'm Yiğit. 20 years young, was trying to become a mechanical engineer since I was 12. Had to learn coding starting from Java, which was obviously a pretty big mistake. I love competing, hence love sports. If you want to go a little personal about me, done basketball at the amateur level, the American football, and still play football regularly. But that's the most of the thing. I just really like to compete, and I really want to hope inspire people, especially people my age, in the session to showcase what works for me and how they can make it work for them.
Fantastic. No, that's great. I'm glad you are a big basketball fan as well. Cool. Yeah, if you could share a little bit about the businesses that you've set up very briefly. Set up, as you said, you're so young, but you've done a lot in a short space of time. So you just give a quick snapshot into what you've built, what you've done to date. We can take it from there.
I have done a lot of internal tools for the companies that I've worked in, but that's more of the boring side of the story. For my personal stuff, I built an app called MusicMasher. It's growing every time with a 100% growth rate per month, which is insane if you think about, because it just started as a weekend project. And then I moved on to Finlayer, which was my first thought while setting it up, was actually to combine all of my skills in a suit and then hope it sticks. Well, thankfully it did. Then it led to bigger acquisitions. Today, here we are, and I think we can get more in depth on that maybe later on. So, yeah.
Perfect. No, that sounds great, and it's obviously super impressive that you've launched several businesses already, one of which has been acquired. Yeah, obviously the growth is phenomenal. Love to hear about your process, how you go about your builds, what you sort of learned to date in terms of what works, what doesn't, especially in this new world of AI.
Yeah, for sure. So prior to this age, the idea guy was someone who just thought big, dreamed big, and they were optimistic a lot. But now, modern idea guy requires new fundamentals. One of this is you need to have like a certain degree of every skill set, whether this is clock speed, problem solving, growth, design. You need to combine all of this in a gauntlet, and then you have to master on one or two of those. Essentially a jack of all trades who can either build nonstop, whether it's the product itself or the vision of business. So when I first started out, I just tried to see what my strengths were. Then something kicked in and I just realized I could build I could build really fast, and it allowed me some really unique aspects, like actually testing things on prod and seeing the real results was cheaper for me than to go brainstorm on it. So that's what I did for the majority of my journey, whether this is for the enterprises, for my personal projects. But the first thing is you need to find what your unique strength is, besides all the same points that people go through. And then you start building your first principles and start approaching problems your way. There's like a really universal truth, the 20/80 rule. It basically means 20% of your input generates 80% of the outcome. But I start to think of this differently, especially today. When I start to build, I just grab, like here, a paper and a pen. There's a really old-fashioned way, if I'm being honest. This is how I work. I first want to get into the research. I don't want to leave it to AI because I need to know what I'm building, need to understand the fundamentals, need to go into details and gather the domain knowledge before I hand off anything. This is for me the main reason where you need to use the human brain. You design the roadmap, where I am now, where I will end up, then start from the ending so the architecture is actually built correctly. And after you complete the roadmap, I question each of my thoughts to break the bigger problems into mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive smaller parts. After I design everything and challenged all my ideas, I go to the first node. Now, okay, I'm here. I have nothing built yet. What will I build? Research everything on how to build it. That is where most of my time goes, if I'm being honest. And then test runs to validate the methodology, whether this will work or not, or if I'm thinking correctly when I'm trying to take this to prod. And then AI take part for the 20 of input, creates 80% of the outcome. I did the hard labor. Now it can act and build a product for me. The key aspect was never to treat AI as an assistant, but rather as an employee, and start with the same mentality on every project you build. Because if you don't take it seriously enough, no AI can save you until that point.
Amazing. No, it sounds like a really, really strong, solid process, and makes sense that you start with pen and paper, old school way, and sort of take that approach right through to leveraging AI as an employee, as you will. In terms of your research, uh, what do you use to do that research prior to the validation piece? I don't know if it's helpful, perhaps using an example of when you built one of your projects, whether it be MusicMatcher or other projects. But what do you usually do on the research side?
So this is actually a really good question, and I appreciate you bringing it up. I go one or two ways, as always. One, if I have absolutely zero domain knowledge about the topic, I first want the AI to create some briefs in deep research mode it lasts about 40 minutes. And then while it's doing that, I start to do my own research, just shooting keywords on the wall. For instance, when I tried to go and work for Sean at Alluvium, I didn't know much about him. I just knew he was a big name, he was a top guy in the industry. And then I started to, Google his name, go into YouTube, get his name. And then for each step, for instance, his TED talk, I still remember to this day, but he used to go on and tell a story about the Likya Yolu in Turkey, which I think he went there to an adventure with his wife at the time, and they met the actual creator of the roadmap of this entire journey. He talked about how some coincidences can happen that can lead to better ways. I just straight up noted it. Then I found a 3-minute video of their product demo for the B2B clients by just scraping the web. I noted everything I could find, including the URL handler, what comes after the local host, do they have any internal jokes? And after mapping everything out, that's when I get to start to build. If I can actually reach people about some topics, for instance, if I'm going to work for a B2B startup and I need to close B2B clients, I usually try to go on LinkedIn, find people who are in that niche, for instance, working as a procurement manager, then try to get in touch with them and ask them directly, like, what is your pain points? Why is this so hard for you? Because, everybody loves to get listened to. Everybody loves to get interviewed. So when you're the interviewer, you have like infinite leverage to squeeze the information you need from that person. If I can do, I start with person first. If I can't, then I just scrape through all the data and connect the points later on.
Really good approach, and obviously nice that you get engage people directly as a first port of call. After that, you talked about validation, I think it was. So what's your process? So you've done your research, you've collected what you can. What happens next in terms of validation?
I have like a principle that I really believe in. I call it the triangle of success. Shout out to Cerise Silicon Valley. But the main idea is in all startups that have succeeded or is currently going on the way of success, they have three things in common. One of them is the scraping, one of them are the tools, and one of them is the interface. Scraping is essentially providing your LLM with enough data to get into some meaningful line of work. This can be bank data if you're working in fintech, stock brokerage maybe. If you're working for an HR platform, this can be a person profiler. Then after, you need to build some unique tools to provide to your LLM so it uses the data that you collect in a unique way that other competitors have not thought of yet or couldn't implement due to infrastructure issues. After building the unique tools, you need to present it in a way that the user will feel it's so smooth to use. Notion, for instance, is like the number one in this case. Because if you look at the Notion interface, you don't see anything. It's just a blank piece of paper. And if you're a power user, you know everything, where everything is hidden, what features what features can you use, what are you eligible for, and how you can actually build a meaningful page. But if you're not a power user and just starting out, you can just start out by typing words on a page, and it will actually turn out great. I personally use it to, just so my notes are synced between all my devices. But some people build amazing tools using this. So it all comes down on how you can actually improve the UI, serve your product well, because everything's an LLM wrapper. But if you present it good enough, you are the better LLM wrapper.
Brilliant. Sounds like you've got your process nailed down. Big Notion user. I know you sent your notes through ahead of this call on Notion as well. So shout out to them. In terms of your previous projects, can you share a little bit more about some of the ones that you've set up, one of them that you exited, and obviously one of the ones that you're working on now?
All right, so Finlayer was my first ever big time project that I took all my weekends and get into this. But before doing it, I needed to actually work with someone in this expertise. So my career actually started in finance. I was a quantitative researcher. And then after that, I switched to Alluvium, which was a B2B ISS. So from finance, I got finance. From B2B ISS, I got B2B ISS. I just combined the two. So it became like a fintech B2B ISS tool. Then, okay, so what did I learn this week? I learned how to build pipelines with AI. I learned how to build data validation with AI. I already have this previous domain knowledge, which will get me ahead. So how can I build the first feature? And then come the second feature, and then the third feature. By the time at 7 or 8 months, I had like 30 features, and I didn't know some of them even existed. I just brain dumped everything that I learned and used it as a place of practice. Then I wanted to take it to the market, and then basically fine tuning everything. Now you will have your B2B teams here. Okay, now you will have your AI tools here. You'll have the output, and this will save you this much time and gather this much money. Everything was perfect. And thanks to Sean, by the way, again, huge person, huge profile, great mentor, learned every single thing and used it everywhere in Finlayer. Then I saw a LinkedIn post that changed everything. We are launching an AI financial advisor, and we've just closed our agreement with SEC. And I was like, damn. Okay, so this is where we're heading now. They essentially built a financial advisor for regular people. Like, think of your ChatGPT subscription, but it manages your finances and helps you on the stock market. And they are actually legally, allowed to do this. Where in the other hand, I need to form an LLC and then get the papers. Didn't want to do any of it. So just picked up the phone, called the CEO and said, hey, do you want to buy me out? I built this. It can do this. It can do this. And he said, yeah, let's get you to the team and let's buy your product. I'm like, perfect. Then I worked on there for 3 to 4 months, I believe. I built the community, but I tested something new there. Because in my mind, if you work at a place and you have the flexibility, always test what you learn there in real time. So I was looking at Notion's design, because the product is so smooth to use, how they manage the typography, how they learn about the small details. And I tried to apply all of them to Stonky step by step, which was the AI financial advisor product. And then my exam week came, so I had to ghost out 2 weeks. Then when I came back, they said, hey, Yiğit, we're closing out. I said, we're closing out what? Say, you can look for jobs or you can come with us. I'm like, where? And we can't disclose it yet because the signatures aren't signed, but I'm like, okay. I put down the phone, then started working on other projects. And about 2 to 3 weeks later, I received the news that we just sold the investing platform. I'm still surprised.
Wow. What journey. And amazing that you effectively got acquired off the back of just cold calling the CEO.
Yeah. I mean, I checked their strengths. Like, they obviously knew that they had to get regulated and they got their papers, but nobody was a finance guy in their team. That's what put me ahead in there. I had the domain knowledge, and what they tried to do, using AI and being a quant, pretty much the same thing. You bring it down to statistics. I was basically able to speed up the production by a lot, boost the team effort. What we wanted to do was essentially like an echo hire, like how Meta did with Scale AI. And then it just turned out my company got bought, and then the company that bought it got bought. And I wonder who will acquire investing, but we'll see.
Brilliant. No, that's great, and obviously, yeah, very impressive. You've done that in a short space of time. How long was it from uh starting up Finla to the acquisition?
I would say starting out Finlayer to acquisition, I would say about 7 months. But if we take in the scope, the time I actually spent on Finlayer to the acquisition, it's like I started going hard on it 3 weeks before the acquisition. So it happened really fast.
Great, really, really impressive. And I guess, yeah, what did you use to sort of build that out? And are you taking that same approach to building your current projects now?
I started out in Lowell. At the time, they didn't have local cloud. They had Supabase integrated, so it was much better for me. Then I built the interface. I mapped out where I wanted everything to be. And then I realized, okay, this is not uh, a global problem anymore. This is a me problem. Because financial data is like in really, really large files and they have lots of it. I need to store everything. I need to feed into LLM. I need to get the thought process. I need to reevaluate, get into reinforcement learning, see how I can use these insights to predict the stock market, and so forth. So it started out in Global. Then I had to integrate with Cursor and Cloud so fast. Then came in Codex to support me when my credits were over, basically. Then I had to deploy it in a new place, so I had to change the entire infrastructure. So now I was using Alpstash, Redis, Supabase at sometimes, Google Cloud, Google AI Studio, everything at a different pipeline for its best use case. At the beginning, I essentially started out with just Global, and I was like thinking of it as a cool way to showcase what I learned at work into my own personal skills. So wasn't really thinking big out of it, but then it got out of hand so quick, so fast.
Amazing. And how long did you build on Lovable? In effect, perhaps the MVP before you then took it out, and hosted it elsewhere. And how far out from the acquisition was it still on Lovable versus when you sort of built it out ready?
So the front end was always on Lowell. I didn't change it at any time because how can I say, the main money was in the back end of the project. I think it always stood in Lowell, but I stopped using Lowell as a code editor in what? I think about the fourth marathon I did with Finlayer, it was just too big of a context for Global to handle, and it was just getting out of its expertise. So I needed to switch out the tools there. You need to use the applicable gear for every task, otherwise you're just wasting your time. So yeah, actually, thinking of it, it was always hosted on Global, but never really completed on Global. When it got acquired, I sent them a URL with global.app.
Well, there you go. You can build out, MVPs to full products, and get acquired, which is
Exactly.
incredible. And is that the process that you've taken in terms of the Lovable build? I think MusicMatcher, I think, is your current focus and project. So do you want to share a little bit about, again, walk us through your process of building that? How did you come up with the idea? How did you validate it? And then how did you start building it? And where is it at now, given, I think you touched on the really fast growth rates that it's experiencing?
So it's a really funny story. So this was post Sean and before the investing acquisition, just in the middle of it. Tayga Baltajoğlu, shout out to him, posted like a LinkedIn post saying that he's looking for a founder's associate. And I replied to him, yeah, I'm down. What do I need to do? He called me in FaceTime and said, if you can build a product and get it to 1,000 users in 6 days, I'ma hire you. I'm like, great, this can be doable. Well, that's too big of a word to say, but then I was thinking of ideas. Most people struggle with finding the correct idea. So I was just scrolling on the web, the idea browser, everything. One thing was happening that gave me this. I was playing songs on Spotify, and after some time, the shuffle got so bad. I got songs that never really had any relations with each other. I got so frustrated, then I clicked skip, 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 but still no good songs came. And that I thought to myself, okay, first I'll fix this problem, then I'll find something to build for Taiga. I started to build it, fix this problem, and then I liked the result a lot. So I was like, okay, this can work. We can do something with this. I initially decided to use it as a project. I had to be fair, I copied Lowell's exact launch plan with a little sprinkle on the top. I set up social accounts and my marketing campaign's name was I don't know how to do marketing. So it was to get people to relate to me, saying things like, I might get fired from my job if you don't use the app, blah, blah, this will happen, this will happen. And the product hunt launch also happened. Then I went to subreddits, Discord, indie hackers, gathered around 750 users, 750 users in 6 days. Spent 2 days to building, 4 days to distributing. And then he said, yeah, you're in. Then at my free time, it gathered in my mind, okay, what is the next step? So now we built this, we have come this far. I can suggest actually great songs that sound similar to each other. What's the value? I think it was 4 a.m. I sat down, get my pen, get my paper, started drawing on things, built a super optimistic plan where I would eventually be collabing with Kanye West and some other steps prior to it. So now it started out on Lowell as well. I moved on to pause the project because the work, my regular work was getting too hard. So I didn't want to spare any time to it. Then when I got back, I just realized it was growing on itself. I'm like, perfect. So there are other people living this issue, experiencing it, and this is a great product market fit. Because I didn't do anything in marketing for 7 months. I opened the Google Analytics page just to show a friend on how I got the spikes. And 3 people were in. Seeing those 3 people currently active sign, I was like, okay, this is going to work out. Then I started working on it harder. First, I needed to change the UI because the UI really sucked. And then I thought of the next steps. Now I'm getting data on every sort of problem. So that is the scraping part done. Then I'll need to actually stream something. This is a little bit preview, but I need to actually stream something for this data to be valuable so users can experience this in real time. Because, what's the value if I find songs that are similar to each other, but Spotify still recommends me songs that are not similar to each other? I'm not going to go on MusicMatcher all the time, type in a song and listen to it. So no, we need to fix that. So now I gathered some friends around. We're working on fixing it with a DJ mode. It basically fetches like an entire database, does vector searching, color pattern matching, and then after it gives you transitions and keeps you in the flow to maintain your energy and even increase it time to time. And the end goal is still to, host a Kanye West concert. But to get there, you need to actually do the dirty work, the actual job, the actual steps, regardless of knowing whether this will succeed or not. But if you wake up, do the same thing, regardless of the outcome, get in the same input for 12 days, at 12 hours a day, it's eventually going to work out. Like, you just need to try it every day, and you can't miss a single lucky day if you do it every day of the year.
That story of how you were looking for ideas and then you've effectively solved your own problem first and sort of built around that, really. And then it sounded like within that first week you built for a couple of days, but then you spent 4 days on distribution. So twice the amount of time on distributing and then making it known versus building, which is great. And that it sort of grew organically on its own after that. So in terms of those first 1,000 users, I think you talked about certain forums and places that you posted to get those first users, and the product hunt launch. What were the most effective places to launch? Like, if you were to do it again, how would you recommend going about launching a product, doing the distribution to secure your first 100+ users?
So that's a pretty good question. I think this is a very solid start, but I wouldn't actually go onto Reddit or Discord or any other platform like Product Hunt again. Instead, this is like a very unique way I did with this, and it gives you instant user feedback on what to fix and what's working. You just go to online chatting platforms like Omegle, like really, this is the sauce. And after you talk with someone for 1 to 2 minutes, for MusicMasher, I did this. Hey, do you listen to a lot of music? And everyone's gonna say yes. Then I hooked them with, okay, I built a new platform that will actually give you songs similar to the ones you actually like, and it's free of charge. Just try it and give me your thoughts in real time. If the songs aren't as good as you were expecting, you can skip me. And they're like, okay, let's try it. So that's some of the users that use it there are still using it to this day. that's what gave me the first initial thoughts. That's what told me what worked and what didn't. If you can sit on a computer for 24 hours and just get users to participate in your app and have real feedback in real time, you're actually interviewing 100 users and gathering 100 users at the same time. Congrats. There's nothing better than this as a start. Then when it comes to distribution, these users will also help you by giving you the word of mouth. They'll go to their friends, say, "Hi, I found this app and I actually met the guy who did this. It's really cool. Do you want to see it?" It will start to, just go in a snowball.
Awesome. So clever to think about using I mean, I think you said as a platform to just go live and chat to people directly. Right? It's super cool. Do you have any other gold nuggets or source, as you said, that have worked really well? Any other ideas for user
Uh,
acquisition?
About the acquisition or MusicMasher?
For user acquisition.
For user acquisition. So one thing I tried was, creating lots of SEO pages, even though this seems, everyone's saying the same thing, but you need to first map out where your real advantage is. For me, I was hosting each song at a different URL and each artist on a different URL. So I had the flexibility to index those pages. So when you type in songs similar to Blinding Lights by The Weeknd, I could actually come up in one of your search results. And the math was simple for me there. If I index enough of these, and each one brings one user per month, that's 10,000 active users a month. So that's what we're building on right now. Currently I have about 650 of them indexed with 1,200 more to go. This was one of the unique ways of distribution for me. For B2B products, you can actually get in touch with people, as I said. What's your problem? What are you experiencing at work? Do you have any collaboration programs like accelerators for startups? It is the easiest way to get distribution done in B2B. We did this in Illuvium a lot. For instance, we wanted to sell to Ford, right? We first checked whether they host an accelerator or not. They do. So we just go there and say, "Hey, we are participating in your accelerator. What do you want to solve?" Import it into our product. And we acquired them as a customer. For B2C, the distribution can come from anywhere that you didn't expect. It's very important to plant a lot of seeds. It can come from a dead Instagram post you posted 1 year ago. It can come from something that just went viral overnight and your product is a great market fit. It can come from the word of mouth, Google AdSense, Meta ads, or even the SEO pages or trying to get strangers to collaborate in your platform. There are lots of distribution ways for B2C, and the quite interesting thing is it changes every week. So nobody knows how to distribute properly. There are just some good basic fundamentals you can do and figure out the rest. That is the fun part. And if your product is good enough, people who came first will come back and they'll bring more. So focus on building the great product that you will personally use. And then for distribution, you will try and lose on a lot of things before winning once.
Love that. Very, very good. Good way to sum it up in terms of focus on the product build for yourself, solve your own problem, and then keep trying different things on distribution to land on what works to bring users on. Fantastic. Well, on that note, I think we would thinking about looking at what does a great build look like, and how do you go about building your products? So if you're up for that, perhaps we can do a bit of a build along.
For sure. Let me just set up the windows and proper screens, gather the tools. Just give me a second. Okay, so open up this. Global just launched a new update. That's cool.
All right then.
Open up this here. Let's share the screen. Perfect. So the first thing I want to go is to actually hold up a timer. I want to hopefully complete this in, where it is, 15 minutes.
Great.
What I want to do for this session is I want to actually build a page for you where guests can upload their resources and their products, but I actually want you to use it as well. So we're gonna go and tweak some ways out. Like, for instance, you can connect the products, connect the episodes. So tell me, what do you want to see in a personal blog of yours?
The blog, I think it'd be useful to start with the podcast episodes. So that's probably a good place to start, collating all of those in one place.
Okay, so I'm just gonna get this here. Can I? Second. Okay. Let's close this. Where was it? Okay, so get all the episodes in one place and get resources of the said episodes. Allow additional commenting on each post. And then in order to gather these, you actually need an admin UI. So set up an admin UI that will allow you to first upload the episodes, upload the thumbnails of each blog post / episode. And then let's go ahead and add one more here. So we added upload the episode. Yeah, let's connect it with YouTube, file links, if you ever go there, or any other external platform. So these are the main keywords that I'm going to be using. I have very limited thinking time here because AI will take the most of the time building. So let's go into Cloud, hit Sonnet. Let's say we are going to build a blog post / website discography for a podcast show. So we'll have its separate post where the guests can include tools like must-reads, external URLs, coupon codes for products. I'm just using very basic plain English to get this done. All of them will be managed by a single admin. Create a prompt for Wobble to build this product and get it live. Cover all the edge cases, use the 2080 principle. We need a good looking and simple to use podcast website first. Then comes additional. Each episode should be able to create to the other platforms, preferably a transcript feature, the bitrate specs. All right. So we gave it everything that came out of our head in here. So we're reading the front-end design skill for best practices. It will just then push a prompt to Lobel. Then we'll feed into Lobel, and then we will get the code from Lobel to build on it. So let's see.
Great. And have you given any sort of context to Claude previously about the sort of 2080 principle, for example, or is it just that's a sort of general principle and you're just asking it for a prompt off the back of the spec and summary there?
I didn't really put that much of Lazar's 28 days of Lobel into this. I have a separate OpenClaw agent for when I try to go and build it into Lobel with first principles. But no, not in my cloud. My cloud is mostly pure, I would say.
Right. And so does this follow the process that you used in your previous project, where you said that you have some trained models in some cases?
Yeah, like for instance, we could have used the OpenClaw agent for this, which would be actually performing a lot better. But, the main goal right now, one sec, I spelled it out correct, right?
That's right, yeah.
Foundore. Okay, perfect. Let's get it to build. I'm not gonna read this. But the main thing is, how can I say, the time here. I'm really scared of running out of time, but you actually got a really good point. To use Lobel, you can refer to the 28 Days of Lobel Archives by Lazar. Amazing program, by the way. Amazing documents. It would be a better choice for the AI tool, but setting up and launching the agent would take some time.
Yeah, shout out Lazar and the 28 days of Lovable there, and the companion app that he built out for anyone looking to do their own builds and guided by best practice. Got Yiğit here sharing the source on how you build your own project. So that's great, and good to see that you sort of spend a good chunk of time getting the right prompts using Claude to help you with that, right?
Exactly. Helps a lot, especially when you need to think of edge cases. Because most of us, including me, skip on the edge case a lot of time to simply see whether they can bring the idea they have on mind to life as soon as possible or not. I hope my Lobel credits don't run out. But so where you need to get some brainstorming, use the muscles, but don't have the time for it, this would cover you. Use Opus if possible. I run out of weekly limits so fast, I couldn't go on Opus for this one. It should cover most of the cases. Then you have other tools like Codex and Cursor that I'll use in a bit if we can actually get the output to, come out fast and have time to work on that. And the main idea is hopefully getting something that works, getting something that's actually functional.
Brilliant. And would you? Obviously, we're trying to cram everything into to 15 minutes, right? So it's a very
Yeah.
condensed version. But would you have done while we're waiting for this to load? Would you have done any further steps that we haven't covered here in terms of the research element or the back and forth with Claude before prompting straight into build?
Exactly, yeah. For instance, let me show a real life use case. Philip Johnson, right? Yeah, so this is a guy who founded StarCloud. So, and let's say I want to build a value validation project for him to get into, StarCloud and see what he likes, see what he doesn't like. The first thing I'm gonna do is open all the tabs while Lobel is building for this for us. Everything I can find, every single thing I can find. I'm gonna read all of this, scan everything, and then get the main parts. Let me go here, and you basically are here. Step 1. This is scrape the web, and then you have your next phase to identify the strengths, like what can be your strengths here when trying to reach out to Philip Johnson is obviously things that he likes or how he built his own startup. And then you go and evaluate yourself. Okay, so now that I've done this research, what can I actually put on top of the research I did by myself or by the help of other people? Then the best and most reliable way of getting information, ask the humans online. So to validate and get any area of expertise you might have lacked with the research. And after everything's done, and you start to brainstorm with the LLM. Because brainstorming with the LLM is absolutely beneficial and at the same time absolutely destructive to your own personal growth. Why it's beneficial is if you accept the output to be average regardless of the input you put, then you can skip on learning a few skills. and use the LLM's answers. Because most of the time, you're not going to get something more higher than average, per se. You can try this with your own expertise by trying to talk to Claude or GPT or Kimi or whatever you use. But most of the time, it's just stuff that everybody knows. So you need to get area of expertise. But however, let's say you're a very great designer, right? And then you don't know how to code, so you need to vibe code the product. Then you accept that the code quality will be average, but the design will be exceptional because you have the domain knowledge. And congratulations, you just saved 3 years of life by not learning how to write a single line of code, but the result of your code will not be exceptional. So in this trade-off, if you accept this trade-off, you can use LLMs for everything. But before going into LLM, I want to actually conduct my own research and see if I can match the dots myself successfully. Then ask for it on, hey, I concluded this research by using this methodology, and I want you to do the same. Now find me common points and tell me what I missed out on. And now you have an LLM that has somewhat of your domain knowledge and expertise and can give you quality output.
That sounds brilliant. Nice to see it laid out.
See,
It's,
Global is really doing this hard for me.
working hard. Yeah. Come along, boy. You got a couple minutes left.
Yeah, come on. I'm like almost on the urge of starting the same project. Add another. Come on, buddy. I trust you. Yep. Okay, perfect.
Just in time.
Just in time, yeah. Okay, so now I need to initialize a Git repo ASAP. No. Okay, where's the GitHub? Where's the GitHub? The integration from the plus menu. Oh yeah, there's the GitHub. Thank you. Connect. I can't. Okay. So we one-shot this. That's good.
Yeah.
Let's see. So I go to watch and listen. The quiet architecture of a decade about this episode. Episode resources. Read transcript. Perfect. Okay, that's something I wanted. Episode resources. Must reads, external links, coupon code. All right, perfect. So, unfortunately, I didn't have the time to polish, but if you want to go, like, spend 5 minutes on it, I'll be happy to do.
Let's do it. As long as I don't want to eat all your credits, but it'd be good to sort of touch on like what your process is from building a project like this, where it's like, okay, one shot at it on Lovable. Are you sort of the mindset of let's try and get users on it as quickly as possible to try and get feedback versus sort of building out, slowly?
So, first thing I do is test. So first thing I do is I always send to friends and family who have never used a similar product before. So I can actually see whether a regular person with no knowledge of this field would enjoy my product or not. That's the first thing I'm trying to go on about. And then after we do that, basically, then I try to move ahead and say, okay, have you used Spotify? Cool. Can you try MusicMasher? Okay, what are your thoughts? But first, it needs to be fun for an everyday human being to actually enjoy. Then it needs to be good for the niche. So I just don't go straight on the distribution and growth, like right away. I prefer to collect some feedback from people with their camera on, facing me preferably, even better if we're in a physical environment. And I just ask, them to, review the product honestly for 30 minutes. And don't even ask them to talk to me. I just want to, watch them use it and read their hands, read their gestures. That's, I think, the most important step before going on to growth, I'll say.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And do you think part of that, either that process or a process thereafter, a lot of people talk about in order to validate, you need to pre-sell, or you need to have someone, willing to pay for a product. Do you subscribe to that, or do you take a different approach in terms of again validating whether you sort of double down on a project or not?
So let me show you with real data. I am against paid subscriptions and asking users to pay your product in the first phase of wear, because early adopters are just doing you a really big favor by using your product when no one else knew it. So I always try to burn out of my own pocket, burn cash on myself, like I'm a VC funded guy, I imagine it, and then let users have all the free features they want. And in terms of how I actually decide on what to do, what to keep and what to skip, let me show you. So it's still working, okay?
So when you say
So now,
what to keep and what to skip, does that mean you sort of build out, quite a number of features to actually put out there in front of users before filtering back down?
yeah, sometimes, but sometimes it's just a lot of products. Like, I am against, how can I say this? I'm against building a lot of side projects, but I am all for building a lot of side projects, throwing them on the wall, see which one sticks, and then going all on. In the other projects, you also build skills, like you learned something, and you can pass it on to the next projects if you ever need to use them again. But you can't, how can I say, manage lots of things and expect them to be great. So you need to stick some of them to the wall and see which one falls, which one actually stays there. MusicMatcher actually went on to stay. Like, for instance, this is January first week, 8 users, 78, 94, 171. Like, the numbers are, not that good. But then when you come here, 442, 585, 542, 380, 740, and then this is a breaking point. After some point, like even in low scopes, MusicMatcher has never dropped down of a previous period. Like, let's go to last 28 days. The dotted line is the previous days data, previous months. And this was this way for like, I don't know how long at this point. Never fell off below this line, even for once. And that's when it clicked on me. First, it was cool to use, but now the market actually likes the product as well. And yeah, I think we are also done here. So let's see. Resources, tabs, comments, moderation site settings.
Just while you're doing that, I think it's really interesting to see the analytics, right, of MusicMatcher and the growth that's on, and the process of building several projects, seeing what sticks. What is your approach to measuring and answering that question? And what indicators are you looking for to make that decision and decide, okay, yeah, this one has legs, this one doesn't, this one is worth doubling down on?
So product market fit is pretty important to actually answer this question, to be fair. Because if it works, if the market likes it, then it will do the job for you while you rest. And that's what I'm looking for in practical. Like, because let's say you have a product that you really like to use, but the market doesn't want to use it, then there are limited amounts of people who you can actually serve the product to. So you need to go to a wide audience if you're going to try B2C in my book. And then you can figure out the monetization later. It doesn't really matter at the first stages. But if it can do this performance consistently, like not falling down behind the previous period, getting users again and again to engage with it, then, returning user numbers are off the charts compared to the last period, then I think it sticks and I want to go even harder on it. That's the main process, really. How much can this thing grow without me interfering and just watching it?
So in terms of your projects, then you sort of focus on at least the ability to onboard users, to have them step through at least one workflow, um, and as you said, not go too fat with it until you see that.
Exactly, exactly. I first need to know if my thesis is correct, if the thesis can stand alone without me. Then if it can stand alone a lot stronger with me on its side. Foundore archives. Let's give it the latest touch. Where is it? Yep. And then, okay, so here's what we're going to do. Actually, let me copy it from here. Let's say.
So talk us through what your next step is now. What are you doing here?
So global credits ran out, so I had to switch to a different AI provider. When you're doing it, it's really simple to do. You just copy all of this history, paste it here. You have your original prompt here. We left out at phase 2. We finished phase 2. We are getting into phase 3. So I said start with phase 3 of the prompt below. Now I'm adjusting my model, GPT-505, and then speed is fast. So let's see if it can get it done in one shot. Then we can wrap this episode up. But essentially, if you look at it, it's pretty okay. And then we can fine tune this later if you prefer, or, I can just finish it live. Depends on how much time you have. But yeah,
Perfect. No, it's great. It's great and impressive to see. Yeah, you flipping between the models, right? As part of your workflow.
exactly. Always try to be as fluid as possible.
And while we're waiting on that, any sort of advice to people who who want to get into vibe coding or to increase their level to launch products, yeah, like yourself?
So I think before getting into vibe coding or before, let's say, getting into the startup ecosystem, I first think everybody, should actually go through a phase of finding themselves. Like there are some pretty basic fundamentals, must reads, some key concepts like permissionless apprentice is a pretty good concept, and I think everyone should be on it. It's simply act first, ask later. And then there's value validations that validate what you can bring to the table, whether this is providing skills or job hunting. Like the thing we're doing here is actually a problem solving and data connection. We're not just saying, hey, we understand these things. We're actually building on it. We don't take any permissions. And then we are validating our value. And there's also high agency. I think it's the art of always coming on top, regardless of the situation. If you can't walk with your legs, then you'll need to use your hands. Otherwise, you're stuck in the same place forever for your life. And the Almanac of Naval is probably the holy Bible of this thing. Everyone should read it before getting into this world. Talks to you a lot about how you can manage your life and how Naval actually acknowledges leverages and then how you can use the said leverages like media and code to your advantage. So first, discover your strengths, then read the starting lineup I just provided, and then get to action ASAP. Don't wait any longer. Discover your on the road. Learn how you learn. Like, learn the way how you learn. For instance, I learn by doing practices. I using physical tools like the pen and paper. I'm pretty old school on that. But another person can learn by just reading, and that's fine too. So take your advantages, ignore your weaknesses until they become actually relevant, and, you know, go on your strong side. That's the main thing. If you try it hard enough, if you try it every day, then it's gonna stick.
Love that. Especially the act first, ask later. Really good advice. Awesome. And so, we're, with regards to music, uh, music matcher, what are your plans now? You sort of touched on it. What are the sort of next big milestones? I know we've got the Kanye West as the sort of end goal, which is awesome. What are your sort of milestones short term?
We are very close to shipping an AI powered streaming platform. Think of it like Spotify plus AI. But the main issue is the same issue. You don't need to go ahead and listen to shuffles that don't mean anything, but instead we will bring out the relevant song based on your mood, based on time, based on what you're listening, your energy levels, and then we will actually get the user data by whether seeing you like the song or not. And then another phase of implementation of this will be to actually provide transition and remixes of the songs in real time. So they actually match, the switches are smooth, flawless, and you're always in the flow while listening to music. You lie in the bed listening to some songs late in the night, maybe think of your life, and you will never have to pick up your phone again because a song that never had anything to do with your mood came. It will just never came. It will just never come. So that's what we're focusing on right now. Doing lots of AI, lots of big data, and implementing reinforcement learning from user data. But I want to say, I think this is where AI will head, especially in 2030. AI will start to be more of a consumer supporting product, and we want to be actually the frontier of this.
Very cool. Very cool. Did you want to showcase the platform while we're waiting for this?
Yeah, sure. Currently, it's fairly simple and obviously not backed by Y Combinator. We are kind of in the same industry as Apple Music, Spotify, Suno. These are just the fun parts of design tweaks. But the main thing is just this. You search for songs similar to Sabrina Carpenter's Espresso. You get results that are actually relevant to the song. That's the main point. Now, I unfortunately can't show off the new AI streaming yet because we didn't build a UI for it. We are just running it from the code terminal. But when it arrives, I'll send you the demo to try out. I hope you like it.
Too. Yeah, I'd love to. Looks great and sounds like it was yeah, as you said, going to be at the forefront of consumer AI. Very fun.
There's also the discoveries that these just look at what you searched on MusicMatcher and provide songs similar to that. You have your playlists, profile, following followers, etc. Discussion, new Twitter-like feature. I just built this because I wanted to. No other reason. So yeah, this is how it goes. Yep. Okay, perfect. So now I'll need to actually run this. Let's see if this works. So it's about, can I try to go into admin maybe? Not entirely sure whether the database is connected or not. Invalid password. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Yeah, this is it. This is end-to-end website we built for you. We can always tweak it on later on, but you'll be able to add YouTube links, Spotify and Apple Podcast links when you launch on those platforms as well. You will be able to cover the episode. For instance, if Lazarov gave out any tools, you can just link them here and then include this link in the description of the video. So, what do you think?
Very cool, very cool, and love that there's the transcription there as well. I mean, having the tools, I think, super useful because you only really see that in the description of the YouTube video, right? So actually having that somewhere on a page that people can access is great. And as you said, it was built effectively in 15 minutes plus some change, right? And the fact that you on the fly ran out of credits and then still brought in some other tools to make it happen in terms of Claude and Cursor there. So great. Thank you for putting that together. Really, really helpful, and no doubt really helpful to the audience in terms of sharing that process of how you go about building a great product like MusicMatcher.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure. The viewers have any questions in their minds, feel free to comment, and I'll be sure to add for each comment in this video.
Appreciate it. We'll include all the links in the description and on the new website. But where can people connect with you?
They can connect me with LinkedIn on Twitter. I use them both frequently. And to be fair, I have a personal website, volkan.oker.com. They won't be able to spell it correctly, so we can just include it as well. But they can just reach out from there as well. I'm always open to inquiries, and if you have any questions or you want to just talk about something, I'm down. It's always great to meet with new people. Everyone has a different journey, and everyone's welcome in my book.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Great episode. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.
Yeah, hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, Jimmy. This was amazing. And thank you for having me again. Hope to see you in much more better places, much more places in where you're actually closer to achieving your goal with this journey. Hope you come across and make even bigger interviews, make even bigger podcasts with bigger names. And I'll be following you closely as well.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.